am Christa Butalezi, the editor and curator and chief chatter of Odyssey Magazine. Welcome to our conversation today. I am speaking with someone who I've been following for some time and I'm very intrigued with and just getting to know. So you get to sit in as we get to know each other. Dubs, welcome. I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you are multitudes.
Hey. Yeah, like I was thinking about how to do it. So my name is Thobekile Ntomb'Yelanga. On paper Mbanda, but actually my surname is Makubane. It's a story on its own. And what I do is I'm a cultural preservationist. I am an indigenous instrument maker and player. I'm a performer. I'm a storyteller. I'm a children's book author. And I'm a living being, I am who God says I am. So
Beautiful.
that's
You are, and God made you so beautifully in so
thank
many
you.
ways, and so wise, and so deep, and so fun, which is just a delightful combo.
Thank you.
We
It's a reflection.
before I hit recording, I made you stop because we were talking about something. You will note we did not coordinate our
No.
dress. And we have, your name is just as long and complex and just as much a story. We're both storytellers, and
Yeah.
our names
I feel
convey
like
that.
you're the other version of me anyway.
I absolutely. I really feel like for the last, I don't know, I would say since 2010, 2011, so that's getting to be 14 years now. I feel like I've been going around this planet collecting souls I've known for a long time. And
Yeah.
truly, I don't think there's anything better. Do you?
No, I try to say that because I always, when I acquaint with people for the first time, to them it's the first time, but based on how we connect, I'm always like, nice to reacquaint with you. And some of them give me like weird looks. I'm like, no, we're just carrying on where we left off the last lifetime. Like,
When I met Desmond
hello.
Tutu at the White House, I think you know that story. He said to me, "Hello, my friend. It is so good to see you again. What do they call you this time?"
Imagine.
And the last time we were together, I could not bless you. This time I can. So I don't think it's just us, honey. I don't think
Hmm.
so. So
It's our
before
tribe.
we started, we were talking about, I was saying that all of the traditional in me was rising up this morning and wanted to put my whole, gear
Yeah.
on. But I managed to negotiate to just the England leopard and the bracelets. Always the bracelets. So, and then you noted that I match your Duke, your headdress. So what were you saying about that? Because you
No, so
do
I was
feel
saying,
compelled to dress more traditionally with certain people and in certain situations.
yeah. So I was saying that like with the dressing up traditionally and going all out, for some people, the reason that we don't do it like often enough is that we're already so settled within ourselves, right? Like, I think in the poem that I wrote that we no longer the fabric, we are what is in the fabric, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I was trying to acknowledge that it's because you're so solid in who you are, you're so grounded in who you are that the outside garment is not necessary a thing that needs to be showcased to identify the spirit that you are.
And
And it's
maybe
not to say
sometimes
anything to those who do go all out
no.
and do it every day. No, no. But I feel like there's this level of transcending the material garment because now you are so aligned. I mean, that's why we do rituals, right? Is to align ourselves. And then once we're aligned, you realize that there's no need for the ritual because you can go straight to the source.
I I have struggled with this as someone with the palest of skins. In the first few years in a very Zulu, where I was the only white person in most situations, the only one the children in the school I ran had ever seen or touched. I've already told you about when they were trying to rub the white off of me, but I had
Yeah.
sunscreen on, so they thought they were rubbing the white off of me because they were getting sunscreen on their fingers.
Coming off.
So it's really, I mean, there I had to wear skirts of a certain length. I had to wear skirts. I had to, there was a lot that I needed to do just out of respect because I was going into people's homes. I was meeting
Yeah.
elders, I was meeting with the Nkosi, the Indunas, all of that. But um, I never felt I am entitled. I have earned the right. I have been given the right to wear full on traditional dress of a traditional healer, and I do in certain, certainly my father's funeral, I was, in the whole everything,
Mm.
his things and all of that. And, but I don't overdo it. And I have become skeptical of those. It's kind of like, for me, someone's actions mean a lot more than their words. And I think
Yeah,
the same with that. If someone, if, as you said, if someone feels like they know themselves, they're grounded, they're solid, they are who they are, they're genuine, um, then I don't really care what they're wearing. Like I can walk into a space in a t-shirt and jeans and people know who I am the right way.
exactly. You don't need the performative regalia.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think the environments that we have been raised in have promoted segregation and separation so much so that it's kind of embedded in our DNA. So
Mm-hmm.
my thing is that every person I meet and see literally has been created by God. When I sit in a taxi and I look at all those people, I'm looking at two things. Number one, you were created by the same God that created me. Number two, you are an extension of who I am. So I'm looking at 15 versions of myself in this taxi.
The mirrors we were talking
Eh,
about the other day. You've got
Exactly.
15 mirrors. Yeah.
Exactly. And they all reflect me. So when it comes to geographical, specific cultural things,
Mm-hmm.
we become very possessive. So then somebody from the outside, like yourself coming from the States and you're a white woman, but you have a calling of a traditional Zulu healer in South
Mm-hmm.
Africa, and you even made that move,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find that more often than not, the questions that the outside is asking is actually what you are battling with because you
Yeah.
stick out. So
Do I
then,
belong? Which
do
is
I
my life
belong?
question everywhere, not just here. Yeah, that's always been it.
You know what I'm saying? And so you end up being shy of something that is naturally your gift, but
Mm-hmm.
because geographically and racially you were never placed by birth in that community, then it feels like it's something awkward, you're doing something wrong, or you are what imposter syndromes, which also happens in the arts scene a lot. Like we feel that imposter syndrome a lot, you know?
And appropriation, all of those kinds of things.
And
And
also specifically
cultural
that you come.
appropriation is a huge thing. Huge.
Yeah, especially because you come from America as well, and America has this thing of always labeling things and and labeling them out of context of something they haven't physically experienced.
Right.
I think as Africans, we love when people share our culture and our knowledge and our wisdom because it keeps it alive.
And with respect. I mean, it's how you
Yeah,
share it. Yes.
exactly, exactly. So sometimes I had to kind of teach myself. I remember there was a time where I realized that a lot of people in our communities and in the art scene were becoming sangomas. And
Mm-hmm.
I won't lie. First
Mm-hmm.
time I was judgmental. I was like, you girl, you know, like I'll be giving people side eyes, but then you're just like, okay, it is what it is, right?
But
But
Nami Fuji, I do it too. That's the sad thing. I do it.
But you know, the more I meditated about it, and I spoke to this other friend of mine, Musbonelo, he works with clay pots. He designs the most beautiful clay pots. And we were talking about this thing because he just came out of initiation from a very horrible gobela. It was just a terrible experience for him. And then he was like, you know, it's one thing for us to judge because we are aware of the powers that exist of that system. But for those who are doing it without knowledge, at least they're faking it towards home.
Fake
So
it
then
till
I
you
was
make
like, okay, I'll take that. And ever since then, I was like, if I feel that, not that based on my wisdom and understanding, and I meet someone and I'm like, this is an act,
it.
this is a
Hmm.
performance. I create a peaceful environment within myself by saying, at least whatever they're doing, they're faking it towards home. Hopefully, though, they don't consult other kids. They don't act as healers and stuff like that. But
Well,
yeah,
look,
like, it's a lot.
you know, I think there's some wisdom in that. I think that's a really, really interesting way to look at it. For me, it's the same thing. My fallback is always to be curious. Okay,
Mm,
so it's a performance. So let me sit here and watch the performance. Let me see, you know. And I do pray that they're not using it for harm. But there are a lot of people who are properly trained, and perhaps, really genuinely called, I don't know because I'm not them, who use traditional ways just as anything, allopathic medicine, intellectual wisdom, lots of things, anything can be used for good or for bad, for shadow or for
mm,
light. And so that's always my thing, is to sit back and see, are they using it at least for the good of others if they're working with others.
yeah.
But I mean, like, who are we to judge? When I was in school at grade 1, we had a very, very strict teacher, Mrs. Castle. And she was very big on keep your eyes on your own paper.
Yeah.
And I didn't ever do anything differently, so I didn't really understand. But at that age, kids are trying to do things right. They're looking. I think life is like that. Keep your eyes on your own paper.
Yeah.
In this situation, am I acting properly? Do I feel called to speak? If I really feel called to speak, I pretty much can't help myself.
Yeah, me too. I think that's the whole idea of living in alignment with your purpose, right? Because if you are within your purpose, then you know when it is a time. Sometimes, like, I want to explore the notion of righteous judgment, right? Like, not
Big-
self-righteous judgment, but righteous judgment. And that is something that is awarded to people who are in the space of truly understanding what it is to self-love, and also to have the perception that you are looking at yourself in various versions of you, in
Exactly.
terms of interacting with people who probably the reason that they're even in your presence is that there's some help that you need to offer, and there's some insight that you need to offer, because at the end of the day, the more I focus on myself, the more I understand myself, the easier it is for me to relate to those that are around me. And to be, well, for me, it's also my everyday mantra that what good is within me today that wants to emerge and be shared.
Yeah.
And that's
And
what I
likewise
focus
for
on
others.
the whole day. Yeah.
You bring a
And
lot of light. I mean, for me, that's one of the things that clearly you do.
yeah,
You shed light on things, but you also just carry light with you. And that's far more valuable. I don't know that people really realize, you know, how valuable that is.
yeah. It goes to what we were talking about yesterday, and I wanted to touch on it, but we got lost in Kanyezi's world. It's the idea of you were talking about light. See, trails of thought. There's just so many things flying in my head now that I'm talking to you. In the essence of sharing light and being a light,
Hmm.
what I've noticed is that the the amount of time you spend in your job. So most people in society work 9 to 5.
Right.
It could be 9 to 5, 5 to 9, or whatever, but it's like long hours. And I
Hmm.
realized that the amount of time you spend at work is actually the amount of time you need to know God and yourself. Aboriginals, people from Australia, they've proven that they spend only 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours a day, gathering what is needed for the day in terms of food, security,
Right.
like, and then after
Creativity.
those 2, 3 hours, then they spend the whole of the rest of the day participating in activities that connect them closer to God. Be it painting, drawing, singing, dancing,
Creativity.
meditating, just being.
Creativity. That is the normal human, any form. Gardening,
God, exactly.
canning,
And
cooking.
so our desire to earn finances has flipped this thing, the opposite. Now we spend 9 hours. Is it 9 hours at work? 9 to 5 hours, 9. I don't know how long. Like the
Plus,
long day.
I mean, you can call it half the 24-hour period by the time
Yeah.
you get out to the house and you get to work and you get home. No,
And then we leave time for connection and creativity to 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
if
And
at
we,
all.
if at all, and so that's why maybe it feels like the greater society is unconscious. And then we have these people who want to wake people up, but also with that, we can't necessarily uh we have to allow people to awaken on their own. We are just there to greet them at the gate. Welcome home. But we can't be, yo, wake up. You need to meditate. You need to do this. You need to do that. Because then they just like, what is she going on about?
Well, and they can't hear you, so it's like, when the volume's off or you get on Zoom and you're muted, and you're talking and we can't hear them. This magazine, taking this on, has been the biggest lesson in this. And I've really had to, after a lifetime of working with people with myself and with people in many different ways on exploring consciousness without thinking of it that way. But now that I know we're doing this, it's interesting. There are a couple, I have to think about how I want to say this.
Yeah.
There's an assumption by many, it keeps coming up, that because we are people see it as exploring consciousness, holistic, mind, body, spirit, whatever. There's an assumption that we won't include certain things, like
Yeah.
Christianity, like Afrikaans authors, like, I mean, it's amazing to me, the ideas that are coming out of people's heads. I'm
Yeah.
known, obviously, just from my name, and I speak a lot online and social media. I am known. I am very liberal, and I think people think that that means that you exclude quite a bit. And to me, the whole point of Odyssey, of this exploring consciousness, is to put everything out there. Let's
Yeah.
put it out in a way that people can meet it where they are. So this is where I came up with this. Martha Beck, a teacher of mine years and years ago, used this example, and it just felt so true to me, is that we're putting out bird food on a tray. If you do that, you are not like making a queue for the little teeny birds with the little beaks, and a queue for the big beaks, and a queue for the
Yeah.
other beaks, and feeding them specific seeds. No, of course not. So,
Like,
people were a little shocked. A friend of mine is a former American, but she's been here, I don't know, 25, 30, a long time. And she's a pastor and a missionary, so to speak, and works with kids, and they have this to sports club. And she was the first person I asked to write an article for the magazine.
yeah.
And she wrote it about, her best friend is Wiccan. She's like me. There were like four of them. I mean, it starts off like a joke. It's like a Buddhist, a Wiccan, a Christian, and something else all met, to do, I think it was Samhain or something. And that's what I really hope the magazine is, because even if you know what you believe and you have a very solid thing and you're one track, like I am ordained in the Presbyterian Church, not really
Yeah.
practicing, but I'm also very much aligned with African traditional spirituality. And I believe we can be many more than one thing. But for a lot of people, there's sort of one track that they're on in terms of
Yeah.
belief structures anyway. Can they not, they can keep that, but is it not good to be aware and to learn
Yeah.
a little bit about what others believe as well?
You see, that is the challenge that faces religious understanding of things, right? We have religious Christians, we have religious African traditionalists, because religion is your mind being fixated into one idea, whereby in Christianity, Christ actually promoted expanded knowledge. He said, go out and seek knowledge.
Hello?
right?
Hello.
So
Many
our
times.
people's belief, because I feel like there's a difference between people who know God and people who believe in God, right?
Oh,
People who know
say that
God,
again. Let's slow down for a minute. That's really important. There's a
yeah,
difference between knowing God and believing in God. Okay.
yes. So people who know God, there's nothing that the world can do or provide you that's going to alter your knowledge about God, right? People who believe God are in fear of losing something. So therefore, they cling to it and do not leave room for anything else to enter because it's precious. I'm going to lose it. You can't talk about meditation. You have to pray. Not knowing that prayer and meditation are two things. Prayer is altering the consciousness of the universe.
Mhm.
Meditating is receiving knowledge from the universe.
Listening. Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
so it would be a shame for people not to recognize the platform that Odyssey is providing. It is for spiritual beings, it's
Mhm.
for believers to find transcending knowledge so that they can move from believing to knowing. You know
I
what I
love
mean? And you still are a Christian even if you know God, but you move differently.
I
Same
want
with
to
traditional healers. Like the for me, this thing has levels of understanding. Religion is a catalyst to spirituality. Spirituality is a catalyst to oneness of being, where now you are a transcended, you are you are with the greats, you know. I mean,
you're awake.
you're
You're fully
awake. And I mean, like Christ, Buddha, Krishna,
awake.
all of them, they spoke about one thing. It is the true awakening, so that even Christ, when he says, you would do even more than what I am doing if you just know that the kingdom of God is within you. People need,
Is within you, that we are all sovereign beings, you know?
you can do miracles, you can heal yourself, right? You
I have.
can you can heal. I mean, Reiki practitioners move towards that direction of healing with your hands.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, to know God is to know yourself, and your beliefs can change. That's what believing something does. If you believe in something, you need to know that it's subjected to change when you get better information.
That is there are 2 points that you've made that I really want to underscore. That is one, that there is a flow to it. There is a flexibility to it. Look, the planets change, pay attention to astrology or astronomy. Things change. And can we flow? Can your belief system, can your no and a knowing can flow much more than a belief system, much more easily. The
Yeah.
other is that this believing in number one way or the highway. How can that
Yeah.
possibly be? We're all, snowflakes, right? Stardust, right? We're all extraordinarily unique. Yet, this is where I think the real problem is. And my intuitive practice, what I'm being shown a lot lately is that we really just steered off course and we're steering back now. And that's why I'm doing Odyssey, to help steer back. For those who want to. Anything that is rooted in fear and in things staying the same, static,
Mm.
is not, to me, this is my opinion, and it goes across. We're talking a lot about Christianity and African traditional spirituality because that's where we live. But Buddhism is a big part of my life as well, whether you're Hindu, you're Muslim, whatever you are,
Yeah.
agnostic,
I mean, I'm a Vipassana practitioner, you know?
so am I. Another
You know,
personality we didn't know we had. Yes, that's why I started out as the meditation teacher. So, and I love the way you explain meditation, by the way. I'm not surprised to hear that. But human beings for centuries now, it's easy to go back to the industrial age, but it goes back before that to, serfdoms and kingdoms and all that. There's been a huge amount of control by those in power.
yeah.
That led to, and wanting to make things better. So the industrial age, the education system, which was designed to make people who can sit for 8 hours or more a day, which is, as you said, completely against the whole thing of being human. All of those things have been used to basically profit off the backs of other people. And that's often thought about, we think about that in the context of colonization and slavery. Obviously, that's one, but it's not. It's everyone. It's everything. It's, you know, look at so many countries have a very small upper class, so to speak, you know, and the caste system in India, you know, what's going on in America now. So if it's based in fear, then it creates that need to hold on to things. If you're holding on to things, you can't flow.
No, because you're suffocating it.
Yeah, exactly.
Spirit
can't be
contained. Out of it. Yeah.
And spirit can't be contained. So therefore, let's not allow people to have time for creativity, because creativity creates flow and feeds the spirit. Let's make sure women can't vote, can't get a bank account, can't do all of those things, can't speak in some places still in this world today, can't show their hair or, you know, or their bodies, because that keeps that strong feminine spirit contained. Let's make sure that people believe that if they don't believe and follow these certain rules, that they will go to a place that's hell. To me, that kind of control is what creates hell here on earth.
Exactly. Because it's a lived experience. Like heaven and hell are on earth. Bliss and sorrow are on earth. Because we don't know what's beyond our physical bodies. And you know, with this, I love how you have pulled it historically to where we are now. And I want to take it from when COVID happened.
Yes.
I don't know how, I feel like some people they were experiencing the hardship of it more than the recognition of the shift in
There's something
happening. Yeah, there was a universal shift. And that universal shift needed us to be still so that we can reflect on these processes that have happened from slavery to the wars to oppression to all that mess. I almost said F word.
It hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting. It'll come from me before anyone else, I'm sure.
It's on my tongue.
It's all right.
So we as a humankind, we are being called to introspect much more, to redefine the laws that have been given us, to dismantle even some of the, I mean, I'm watching what's going on in South Africa right now, and I'm an optimist by nature. I can't help it. Something good is bound to happen in this world. So with all this Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee, we've experienced the other commission, which never ended up to anything. But also we, as a public, we weren't conscientized about what's happening. We just listened to the news. But this
we
is
weren't really invested in it. We weren't really, it was like happening over there, but not connected.
Yeah. This one is different because it's tapping into the integrity of our society and the truthfulness of us as a people. This is not something that's happening to politicians. It's something that's happening to us as a country, whereby for the first time, we are speaking out loud about oppression through corruption.
And our experiences, how it touches people's lives.
Exactly. From the ground, from the bottom. So I recently failed my driver's test number 3. And what I realized on the 3rd time, because I was super excited because I could reverse now perfectly into the parallel parking and also into the alley docking, which you don't even do in real life. But anyway, it was a win for me. And people were like, oh, you should buy kyagwazwa, you know, you need to give him some sweets. And I refuse to do that. And I will fail until I get it, because my reasoning is, when I get that driver's license, it's not actually for me. It's for the people on the road with me. So I have to allow myself.
The common good.
Yes, so I have to allow the process of failing and passing to take place so that I am safe, or the people on the road are safe around me. When I think about it now, the amount of accidents that we have and the amount of transport that's transporting children that we have, how many,
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be research on how many of these people actually bought their driver's license. And the best way to see this also is in a traffic circle. I don't have my driver's license, but now I know the rules of the traffic circle. And I've seen people just doing random stuff on the traffic circle, almost causing accidents. And I can pinpoint, judging or not, I call it righteous judgment that those people bought their license. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that we as a people now are moving corruption from bottom up. Oh, and also this one time I had to go to Home Affairs, which was the last time. And I realized this security guy kept on putting people in the forefront. And then this
Mm-hmm.
lady explained to me, no, sometimes people pay to jump the queue. People, we are bribing for the basic human stuff that, like, why are we bribing for jobs? Why are we bribing for lines? Why are we bribing for driver's license where those require natural processing and happenings to happen? So, COVID and that time of seclusion was supposed to help us recognize what our responsibilities are to each other and what are my roles into ensuring that my society is safe, comfortable, and progressing. And then also, we have to question the ways of making money because that's where people are stuck: fear and money.
And the
COVID,
belief that money is everything and money proves self-worth and all the things that money is tied into.
and also, it's hard to get. You have to work for it.
And
You don't actually
yes,
have to work for money. You have to
yes,
work for your worth. What's your worth? And then you
yeah.
live according to that. So people still refuse post COVID now to let go of ideas of old that you actually have to work 9 to 5 every day for the rest of your life to make money. You do
Life
have
is
to work.
hard and then you die. That is that belief, and life is harder if you have darker skin,
Yeah.
or if you were born, in a certain strata of society. That belief holds so many people back, and
And they
yet
sing.
like the bribery thing, the people on the other end with the open hands of the bribery thing, they are also believing that, and it just keeps going around and around. Where I agree, I think COVID was meant, in the bush, you must burn the grass every couple of years, few years.
Mm,
There are plants whose seeds and things are underground and cannot grow until they are burned. They
yeah.
can't germinate. And so to me, that's what COVID was. It was meant to burn down what needed to go and to let what needed to rise rise. I'm
Hmm.
not sure we passed the test.
No, I don't think so either, man. Like, I feel like now we're waiting. Now we need another big catastrophe to separate us. Because then people are not also aware. There's a saying that says mind over matter
Hmm.
that I like.
Hmm.
And it's something that I used and said until I realized that when you think about, so in a day, one individual has almost 60,000 thoughts,
Think about that.
but you only hold on.
60,000. I can't do the maths. There's only 24 hours in a day. That's a lot of thoughts in an hour.
That is a lot. And only for you to hold on to one thought, probably when somebody says you look ugly. Now you're
Hmm.
gonna hold on to that one thought for the whole 24 hours, turn your life upside down because somebody said ugly. But in the context of mind over matter, you and me, when we read the news, watch the news, watch what's happening in the country, and then we say, oh, there's so much crime in the world, and then we think about something else. That thought doesn't disappear. It looks for other thoughts that believe that there's so much crime in the country.
Like
And then,
Pac-Man.
yeah, so it goes swallowing, swallowing. So now we have created a country that is overwhelmed with crime because a majority, if not all of us, are thinking the same thing every morning. Women, when we leave the house, oh God, I hope I'm dressed appropriately and nobody rapes me, or I hope I don't get kidnapped today. How many of us women are thinking that? And so over time, these thoughts have become what? Matter. And
And
now what we're doing, we are minding this matter.
and they feed into the collective consciousness. They become part of the collective consciousness.
Yeah. And that's why we are where we are now. Now, to tell people that the only way this thing is going to change is not through government. It's by our own changed behaviors and thoughts.
And thoughts, starting with thoughts, then the
Yeah.
behaviors change. It doesn't, if we're going to have 60,000 thoughts a day, if we're built that way, this is why I teach meditation, because I think I had 120,000 and I needed to bring it down at least to
No,
the
even more.
So we do the same thing. And oh, and by the way, Tara
You
Brach,
don't
one of
even sleep,
my
you're just
meditation teachers.
calculating.
No,
Huh?
I did. I don't think I slept most of my life. The Tara Brach, who's one of my favorite meditation teachers and very well-known author, says that we are Velcro for criticism. You're ugly.
Yeah.
That thought. And we are Teflon, nonstick, for compliments.
Yeah.
It's true. We don't hold on to the someone said, I just said to you, you bring so much light wherever you go. Is that the thought you're going to hold on to all day? Please try.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost anything. And this is, I think, the next part of my life. This is going to be my banner that I'm going to carry for the rest of my life. It doesn't cost anything to think about things in a proactive, positive, light-filled kind of way. If we're
Yeah.
going to have 60,000 thoughts, could we not dedicate 45,000 of them to
Goodness.
the sun behind the clouds? Whoever created that, what is it like? The way a flower opens up, a macro photo that I see on Instagram of butterfly wings and how they look like tiny little feathers. Your
Yeah.
son popping in when we were talking yesterday and just grinning at me. Where your attention goes is the world that you create, not just for yourself though, collectively. And again,
Collectively.
that's a big part of Odyssey is how do we, my job is to curate and to edit and to decide what comes in. So I've made a decision that we won't talk about politics in the magazine at
Yeah.
all or online.
Yeah.
When I say the magazine, I mean online as well in every form. Um,
Because
and
there's other
every,
things discussed.
yeah, sorry,
Because there's other things to be discussed.
so many. Like, let's shine a light on the things. Let's let those things go into shadow, just like when you're ordering, on groceries online, and if it's shadowed out, you can't order it. Let's leave
Yeah.
those things in the shadow. Let's, for the magazine and for each of us, let's shed the light on the things that make our souls happy, that light us
Yeah.
up, that wake us up.
And also,
Because why just, but people believe that we're safer if we don't. That's the real thing. And I want to ask you to read your poem in a couple minutes, because
okay.
that poem to me recognizes we can't ignore what is. We can't ignore the fact that yes, women have to be careful about what their driver's doing in an Uber. And they need to, all of us have tracking on our phones for that very reason in my little house of Queens. Um, you and your poem really brings that across. You talk about what is real, but you also talk about what is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people in our society are very comfortable with misery because that's all they know.
It's that
It's
point.
easier for me to complain than it is to be grateful.
Yep.
Because you'll be like, oh, I'm so grateful for today, but what am I grateful for? My rent is not paid. There's no food in the cupboard, which is always also a lie because we don't necessarily go without. And God is my witness. Me, I know it. The hardship, I know. Hardship, I know. From a little girl up until
Mhm.
this woman that I am today, hardship, I know. So this is not something I talk lightly or talking from a privileged perspective. And if people see me as a privileged person, they better know and best believe that I worked for this privilege of being a free thinker, you know?
The
Um,
same.
yeah, like it wasn't handed down on the silver platter or no.
We both put in our time
We
in
lived on
big,
noodles
big
and eggs for like 6 months straight.
and tin soup. Much of my childhood was tin soup and spaghettios.
And
Yes.
now we have choice of goat cheese because we want goat cheese. You know what I mean? But there's this influence that overcomes our humanistic nature to not be able to experience gratitude and joy the same way we experience joy, fear and helplessness. So then, because collectively we feel a certain way, then it is natural for you to be angry. It is natural for you. Well, good news for newsflash, it is natural for you to also be happy. It is natural for you to be grateful, you know? And like you were saying, am I going to stick with the fact that you are highlighting that I am a light? Or am I going to listen to my imposter syndrome? Because we're always faced with that. We're constantly faced with choices. Like I said yesterday, I chose to be a mom. It
Yes.
wasn't what I wanted, it wasn't what I expected. But
It
now that
wasn't
the
on
baby's
your
here,
plan A list, right?
no, until I fell on top of something, and then the next thing I'm pregnant. Like,
Literally.
yeah, I slipped. And And then, but when the baby came, I had to make a choice, right?
Yeah.
And I chose to be a present mom, a loving mom, a healing mom who's not going to impose her own insecurities and her own fears on the child. Even though I know my fears are valid, my concerns are valid. Like, I'm an artist, I'm a part-time teach. I work according to freelance job.
You have a big
But
life. You have a big, full life. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And like, but because I believe that something good is going to happen to me every day, like I carry that with me. Not even once have I been in need or in want to secure my son's meal for the day, clothing for the day, school for the day. Because in me believing that something good is going to happen, goodness does happen. I might wake up with 0 rands in my bank account and I'm in need of, we didn't drink formula, but I'm in need of something for that day.
Yeah.
Then a random friend, hey Tobbs, I'm in Palito. Do you want me to grab you something at Spa or Checkers? I'm on my way to see you. That is a miracle.
But if you allow it, life will surprise you. It will happen.
Yes. And that's
And
what we're doing anymore. We're not giving life the opportunity to surprise us in the most amazing ways. We are holding on to old narratives.
let's slow down. You and I, we rush through things. This is one thing I've learned. We do
You make
not,
it so exciting.
well, this is we're in our thing here. But we don't allow life to surprise us. And we don't, I call it flipping the coin. We don't look at the other side of the situation. All right, you slipped and fell, and all of a sudden we're pregnant. Um, and that wasn't on your plan. But what if, I believe children choose us, not the other way
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
and they come to teach us, not the other way around. So what if this beautiful little spirit that is your son, what if he chose you because you have this big full life? Because
Mom
he
needs a little more to do.
Well, but what if it's not that?
Yeah.
What if it's, I want to come and support this woman who's doing so many incredible things.
Yeah.
I want to ground her and give her maybe a little more regimentation to her day, or whatever, so that she can do even more. What if he came to help you? But no, that's not how most people look at it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, then it gets put on. My mother did not want to have me. And she, as far as I know, she's lost in dementia now, still doesn't want to have had me. And, 61 years later. And what if she had seen me for who I was instead of what was mirrored back to her?
Yeah. It's
How
not what's
her
happening
life
to you as a parent.
It's
It's
choice. It's choice. We get
yeah.
to take it just like anything. I was poisoned. Someone very, very close to me who said they loved me decided that, my policies were worth more than my life.
Imagine.
Um, and to the point of even, robbing my children of a mother. Um,
Imagine. The
and
carelessness.
well, you know, it was fear on their
Mm.
part, but on my part, I can't speak for them, but on my part, I could have curled up and died. I've been through a hell of a lot of, I put in my time, and people look at me and assume a lot of things that aren't true and some that were. But I it gave me at 61 a chance to, number one, twice, because I coded, to decide if I wanted to stay or not, in the literal sense. And then two, to really think about what my life had been. And if I was going to live when the doctor said that I absolutely should not have, that no one else would have, why was I given this opportunity? What's here for me? And, you know, it was hard because I had to hibernate, and that's not my native state, for, you know, 2.5 years. But the minute I started to heal enough to think about what was next in terms of my work and what I wanted to put out in the world, the magazine dropped in my lap.
Yeah. And
And
that's
if
you
I
being
had curled
open
up in a
to.
ball, that would have, you know, there's so many people who wouldn't have ever been involved with this, for one.
Yeah, I think to be alive is also a conscious decision. If obviously
Yes,
we don't know when we are born and when we are dying, but in between, it is a conscious decision.
every day.
And when having watched all these things unfolding in South Africa, I also realized that poverty is man-made
Yes.
through through systematic uh, processes. And it's something that we as people can fight off. Like you were saying earlier on about how industrialization brought into education, into how we practice things. It is the same with poverty. People are actually being taught every day on how to be poor. And the
You
only
are
reason,
poor, just like you are, you know, tall or short or whatever.
the amount of time you hear the word broke on social media, the amount of time you hear unemployment, that is why I consciously, every first 7 days of every month, I switch off, I delete my Instagram, I delete my TikTok, any socials, because I realize that I don't have control over my thoughts if I'm constantly being told by my socials, even though it just pops up in your algorithm, you know,
But
and
it's seeds that
it,
can't help. Some of them are going to grow. I mean, it's a full-time job keeping every seed not growing. And and by
subconsciously,
clearing it, then you get to choose which seeds you want to grow.
because the more people listen, funny enough, the people who are complaining are people sitting on their cell phones with data and Wi-Fi to sit and listen to somebody tell them they broke. So technically, we are not a broke nation. I've
We
gone
believe
to,
we are. We believe we are. And we believe we are a third world country, this third world country thing. I have a thing about that.
yeah, me too.
It's
And
the
we can deep dive on the third world nonsense.
We are actually today running short on time, and I'm thinking you and I need to do this once a month. I think will you do that
Catch
with
up,
me?
I know. It
Maybe
feels
once
so
a
good
month?
also for me to have a like-minded person I can actually
Uh,
share my
Well,
thoughts with. You know what I
I
mean?
think it's important. Some of the things where these are seeds that I would like to set in people's minds. Princess is going to have so much fun extrapolating words from this. We're going to be quotes all over the place, but we just have a few minutes left. And
Okay, I just
we
read.
have, just as we launched, thank you, you graced us with this beautiful poem, which we will put in our print issue in September, which will be based on Ikaya, on those who call South Africa home. Um, do you have it with you? Can you read it for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I also just want to say thank you so much for recognizing and sharing the poem because it's something very close to my heart recently, and there's barriers that need to be broken down, whether we want to or not. And there's people who need to stop acting like second-class citizens in their own lives, in their own country, and people need to stop acting like what you call at the bottom of the sea. No, we are all equal standing, and we have the power to bring about change. It's
Is a
called
book,
South
okay? I
Africans.
mean, really. Yeah. Okay.
Dear South Africans, yes, you, the ones with no other passport tucked away, the ones with no dual citizenship, no second place to run to, I am talking to you. This is our only home, our earth, our street, our sky. Politicians poisoned our minds with false narratives. History has handed us truths that are bitter and sharp, but we are here in a new abyss, in the now, called not to sink, but to mend, to heal what racism tore apart, and to correct what BEEEE distorted. Let us refuse to be used and abused, to be taxed and left broke, falling into potholes, eating crumbs from beer pot bellies of greed, to collectively stop watching passively as corruption destroys the very fiber we are mending. Let us fight for us, for what we are worth, for our country. Ukuthi uyakhuluma, vant ons praat, riabua, pula pula, noma siyathetha or we speak, we are in it deep together. We have no second place to run to. So we must face the fight, creating the promised land hand in hand. Our common enemy is not each other, but those who still run old narratives of division and seclusion. No more empty symbols, no more jerseys waved as heritage. We are not threads of cloth, we are the people inside them, a nation woven in diversity. No more guilt that keeps you locked up in gated communities and high walls, creating an us and them narrative. No more festering hurt in shacks of poverty. We are called to heal ourselves and the fiber of our society itself. We all have a responsibility and an obligation to actively participate in this land. You belong. May you know you matter. Trust, to look one another in the eye and believe we can rebuild together. Participation, in that it is our hands, our votes, our voices, and that shapes the future together, and our shared values. Then that in our many languages, we still say one thing: we are home and we are one. Dear South Africans, let us not inherit ashes, but to sow on fertile ground. Let us not rehearse old wounds, but write new songs in solidarity. Yes, you, all of us. This is the time to belong, to believe, and to build. In a world of possibilities, even broken crayons color beautiful pictures. Poverty is negligence we can all cure. In honor of all the beautiful South African whistleblowers and political people for the good, politicians for the good. Yeah, it's a poem for all of us. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you from us all. I'm imagining as I listen to you read, when we put this in the print magazine, people tearing it out and putting it up on their walls.
Yeah. And reading it to their babies at night.
And look, my favorite line in that is about the broken crayons, still color. We are all broken crayons.
Yeah.
And that means that we've lived. A crayon in a box has done nothing.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough, Tabs. And I look forward to the next time. I hope we'll do this regularly.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love you for loving me, and I love your light and all the wisdom you share, keeping us on track. May you continue blossom, and the Odyssey magazine is going to be exactly what you envisioned it to be, and it's for all of us, included. Nobody left behind. Only those who just don't want to hop on the train.
When they're ready, we'll be there waiting for them with open arms.
Exactly. Have a beautiful day.